Are you ready?
Welcome everybody to Wrestling with the War! Hello everybody, it's BC and Jay back for week 3 of Wrestling with the War. Jay, how goes the war, my friend?
It is, I don't know any fun things about war, because war is not fun, so I don't even have anything fun to say about war, but the war is going well. It's, we're fully in the, the trenches. Let's just use that one.
War, what is it good for?
What is it good? Absolutely nothing.
Well, this war was fun.
No, it was a fun war. It's getting better too. We're already almost into October, and it's cooking.
We've got some peak WCW coming up in October. I'll tell you that. We actually got a tease to that in this episode as well.
I'm excited to get into all the cluster. You know what?
We've got an action-packed episode coming here because we're going to talk about the
Nitro. Jam in here.
Oh yes, Nitros and Raw that were leading up to the first WWF pay-per-view of the Monday Night War era, which would be In Your House 3.
Number 3.
Yep.
Such a creative name.
I know. Which after the fact was renamed Triple Header. And ironically on Raw they kind of advertised a t-shirt saying Triple Header yet, but they didn't call it that. So I don't know what the deal was. But yeah, so we've got In Your House. And
you mean like when the cassette came out, they called it In Your House Triple Header?
It might even be even after that. Like there just might be a reference to it going, along
even
the way.
On like Peacock, it just says In Your House number 3.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But if you look it up, saying Wikipedia or something like that, that's what it's titled. But and then because then I think they started going with names after that because the next one was like Great White North or something like that.
Yeah, the shameless plugs with the t-shirts and the free video cassettes.
I love that it's a random blank video cassette too. There's not even a sticker on it.
Like we don't know which one we're giving you. We're just gonna give you this one when we feel like it when we ship it. But for now, you get a video cassette.
The best of Barry Horowitz.
You get this classic WWF tape, which could be anything from 1960 onwards.
Oh, it's so 1995. It's unreal.
Yeah, Doc being his creepy self.
Oh, that guy, man. Yeah, that guy. Oh, man, Michael Hayes. Woo. Yeah. All right. Before we get into things, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to some good friends of ours, friends of the show. The boys at the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast, Dwayne and Steve, because they were nice enough to have us as guests on their most recent episode. Basically, we went over there to talk about why are we wrestling fans? And boy, that's an easy topic for us to cover, right?
Yeah, it was fun. It was actually a lively discussion and went all kinds of different avenues, and we went into different discussions. So it was good. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
They were definitely gracious hosts, that's for sure, and
much more civil than us or than me.
Yeah, well, you had to watch your potty mouth.
I did have to watch my potty mouth.
Broke the rules within about 2 sentences,
and I genuinely didn't think I did.
But no, it was a great time. Those are some good guys. I mean, good old school wrestling fans, but they have a real appreciation for the modern product too. And that was a really fun discussion, just getting to chat about why we became wrestling fans. Then we chatted a little bit about some of the things that we're seeing in wrestling today compared to that time that made us wrestling fans, but didn't get too chaotic or anything like that. And just nice to have them on, or for us to be on their show. And of course, they've been on our show before, so I think it's the start of a beautiful relationship.
I think there's something brewing there.
But please go and support those guys. You can find them on any of your podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, everywhere you would find us. You can find them as well. They're also quite proud of being on IMDb.
Yes, that was an honorable mention on that one.
They are movie stars right now. But Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. And if you want to go follow them on Twitter, because that's where you can keep up to date on their stuff, it's just simply at Booking Armchair for their Twitter account. And then you can find everything from there. But great guys, great conversations, family friendly. So, you know, you can play it while the kids are around. So go on over and check them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Go get the merch too. Get some merch on there.
All right. So now that we've put that out of the way, and again, we want to say thanks to Steve and Dwaylen. Let's get into it. So we are going to talk some wrestling because we're going to talk about Nitro, right? So, you know, Ted Turner got into the wrestling business, right?
The WCW.
Yeah, it's your favorite, the Dubsy Dub. Yeah. Who started that? I wonder that.
I don't know, but they all say it like that on TV. Like it's like they're talking like that. It's like even Hogan in his cutting his like red and yellow Hulkamania vitamin promos. He's like, "Here in the WCW, brother." You're just like, why is it the WCW? Like,
I was disappointed there was no Pastamania, to be quite honest.
Yes, exactly. He did. He was selling that neck brace pretty well, though. So it was.
I think the franchise folded all that quickly
from the week that it was on before. Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so first, we're going to do some quick highlights from it.
Catch the folks up.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, we started off with the Giant and Kevin Sullivan opening the show with kind of a cheesy promo on the back, but it was kind of, I call it foreshadowing of what to come because it was actually something that went backstage. They involved vehicles. They pull up in an ambulance. I mean, the Giant at this point is not exactly savvy on the microphone.
He's pretty green.
Yeah, just a lot of angry breathing for the most part. Angry whisper, as I like to call it. But you know, whatever. It was fine. They're promoting the fact that they destroyed Hulkamania last night. Or did they?
They killed Hulkamania.
Or did they? I should mention this is the night after Fall Brawl, which we reviewed on the last episode. And then we went into an impromptu tag team title match. What'd you think of that? Did you catch the clap?
No. What? The clap?
The clap. The American Males.
Yeah.
American Males.
I didn't catch the clap part. Did they?
Their song. Remember we talked about this during the worst entrance scenes of all time.
But I didn't catch
they used to do that clap movement, so everybody was catching the clap, right?
Right. So I was a little confused by this match. I was like, wait, then why did they do the angle the night before with Harlem Heat? And like, there must have been behind the scenes something there.
Exactly. Why did they do that? We don't know.
Nobody knows. Because that just baffled my mind. Although, oddly enough, it foreshadowed what was going to happen in the WWF 2 weeks later. So
I know. Yeah.
It's almost like they followed the script.
But, yes, that was interesting. To say the least.
I didn't clue into that until I just said it right now. I was like, wait a second. We saw that at
but we had the American Males win, so they weren't even supposed to be in the match.
How established were they at that point? They weren't.
They were newish as far as the team. Like Brad Bagwell had been around for a while, right?
Right. I think they won the pre-show match too, or something, right? On main event. They won
against the Nasty Boys. Yeah. So that's why the Nasty Boys came in and jumped Bunko's Buck and Dick Slater. So
and then what was the Harlem Heat took out somebody as they were coming out, right?
Yes, they were supposed to. Who were they supposed to fight? Oh, I think it was the Blue Bloods. I think it was Regal and and Sir Robert Eaton or Earl Robert Eaton at that time. Yeah.
And then we got the number one contender title match, I guess, or whatever.
Well, yeah, it was an impromptu title match. Yeah. And it didn't go well for the old Harlem Heat.
It was quick too. I thought it was. I was confused because I guess my only takeaway was I thought Harlem Heat was babies at that point, babyface team.
It seemed like it.
But then clearly the American Males were the babyface team in the match, and then the whole Sherry stuff. Like I was just confused with the booking on it, I guess.
Welcome to Monday Nitro. It's starting early. But
that's my only comments on that. It was baffling.
Tag team title change, though. So there you go. Yep. Followed up with another great Ric Flair promo, of course. Yep. Nature Boy a little bit mad at the old AA for the turncoat actions
and the Pillman.
Yeah, and then your favorite, Mr. Wonderful, taking on Johnny B. Bad with the new music, the new gimmick with the mirror, and weird booking of Johnny B. Bad. I mean, they just had that epic match with Pillman at Fall Brawl, and then they have him lose to Wonderful.
Like in a shitty loss, ending too. Like It was like, what, I'm trying to remember. Did he even get a
Well,
finish on
do
him?
you remember Mongo's call? He sat on his face.
But no, I'm trying to remember. It was it a weird roll up or something? It
It was
wasn't.
just, it was literally, it was kind of like, if I'm remembering correctly, it was kind of like he reversed a sunset flip and went forward and literally like kind of
And just
sat on
sat
his
on him.
shoulder.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right, right,
Mhm.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't even.
Week ending. And I
Yeah,
mean, just didn't make sense
didn't look
after.
it didn't look make Wildman look any
No,
big or anything. Yeah,
no, it was
or Johnny
bad.
Big Bad, I guess, or
Bad.
whatever.
And I can understand they were playing up like the intensity of the match from the night before. Maybe Johnny B. Bad was like really hurting or
They
something, but
did
they didn't.
mention the stitches, but that was about the
That was it.
only. That was
Yeah.
it. I found that match for as uneventful a match it was. It was long, hey, like longish
Yeah.
for a
Longish.
45
Yeah.
for a 45-minute show. Like,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I didn't care for that match all that much.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, Paul like, went weirdly around the ring. Like something looked like it was off at the end. Like he rolled out one way, went all the way around the ring to then go back. I was like, was
He
there
was
a
looking for
miss?
his mirror.
Ah, that's that what it
Yeah.
was? Then he grabbed
Yeah.
his mirror. Okay. I thought it
Mhm.
might have been a missed spot or something.
No, he's just looking for his mirror. See, now in today's wrestling product, whether it's AEW or it's WWE, they're gonna have those props ready for those guys
Right.
immediately, right? But at that
Yeah.
time, he just dropped it when he, I think
Yeah.
there was a
There
hot
was
stretch
no
in the match or
there was
something.
no stage hands or anything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure. Okay, now we're off to just another epic promo from Macho Man Randy Savage, who I'm
Yeah, this
quickly
Lex stuff is
deciding that
getting
he
good.
might be my MVP of Nitro for 1995. We're only a
Yeah.
couple episodes in, but the guy is just amazing.
Yeah.
Just and then him, matching up with Luger immediately, like just right off the get
No, it
go.
was great, and they have good chemistry too in those. Like, and
Yeah,
I'm not a big Luger guy, but they well, it's Macho leading it, obviously, but
yeah,
yeah, for sure. And we haven't even got the match yet. That doesn't happen until the first week of October, I think, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's the next episode
Yeah,
of
it's the next
yeah,
episode we'll watch
yeah,
next. But yeah,
yeah.
anyway,
But
it's a
just
good build. Good build.
such an intense promo. I
Yeah,
loved it, man. But yet he still walked a line of still playing the good guy. Like
yeah.
because when him and
And
Luger finally
his
stopped.
arguments were valid.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Same with Luger's. Luger's not like
yeah, they
Luger
were
was.
both in the same position. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's true.
He even said to Luger, like, yeah, you're right. Maybe I
Yeah,
do have some ulterior motives here,
yeah.
right? So yeah, it's good stuff. Because Savage, man, that guy was so good,
Uh,
so good.
Legendary.
Um,
I'm glad I'm seeing this side of him too, because I was only remembering from the cowboy hat wearing
yeah,
commentary guy for the
yeah.
longest time, right?
Hmm. Or the ballooned up, really gassed up guy at the end of the run.
Yes,
That
at the
yeah,
end with the NWO when I was watching.
yeah,
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah. This is really good. Just you can tell Savage is motivated at this point
Right.
because
Well,
he was told he's
was
too old by
yeah,
Vince, right?
exactly. He was told he couldn't do it anymore. Yeah.
Which ironically, I think he was 42 or something like that at this
I was gonna
point.
say he
Which
couldn't even been that old.
like isn't AJ Styles like 45 or something
Yeah.
right now? It's like
46 maybe even, yeah.
it's unfathomable that
Yeah.
this guy was put out the pasture. But yeah. Of course, we had to review the whole monster truck crushing Hogan's Harley. Like that was just, but we know what this is leading to.
Yeah, we got
Pure
the promos.
awesomeness. And then we finished the show off with Flair and Pillman, which I thought
Yeah.
was a
Good
fantastic
match.
match.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good match for
yeah.
sure. I like what they're doing here with Pillman.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it gets better too. So
Yeah.
so overall, great episode. And once again, WWF does no favors because Nitro ran unopposed on that
Unopposed.
Monday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unopposed.
That being said, we had a Thursday edition, a special Thursday edition of Raw on September 21st, which we'll talk about now. Unless you had anything else you want to touch on with
That's
Nitro.
great. I thought that was a good follow-up for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, for sure. Strong show. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the Thursday edition. So we had the Razor Ramon and 1-2-3 Kid match, which is coming off of their whole confrontation from the week before after the botched help by 1-2-3 Kid. Good match, in my opinion, but a weak ending because you had Dean Douglas come in and do that weird splash to Razor's back, which apparently
But it
knocked
was like
Razor
a
out.
knee drop splash, like a flying knee
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing?
really weird. Really weird. But not enough for Razor to be knocked out, right?
No.
And talking about Savage as far as how good he was, but I just can't get over how much I remember loving Razor when I was watching
Me
him
too.
back then, but he's
But
just
it's really
so
standing out
smooth.
here, right?
So smooth, eh?
Yeah. And we're gonna get to it. I know we're already jumping in, but and he was so good, and I remember liking Diesel more than I do now. Diesel's not doing it for me when I'm watching now because I find
Right.
him campy and sort of forced. But now, but when I watched him, then I was a Diesel fan. Then I think,
Yeah. Yeah. Big Daddy Cool. You know.
yeah,
Yeah. It seemed like with Diesel, you had that first initial push when he was still the heel with breaking away from Sean, and
right,
he seemed like he was on a roll. Then it's almost like he got neutered by the title reign, because he
maybe,
had to be happy-go-lucky Diesel
right.
that's
That's a
visiting the
fair point.
fans and the kids in the hospital and all that, and just that's not him, right?
Yeah, fair
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. Uh, uh, oh my god, I don't even want to talk about the next match. It was Tatanka and Kama versus
Oh,
Bob Holly and Savio Vega.
yeah.
And I don't know about you, man, but I never was a Savio fan. I just never
Never. I was
got
gonna
him.
say the same thing. Never. Don't know why he was brought in, and like he was clearly later on in his career when they brought him in.
Yeah,
Was it
yeah.
just his dad? Isn't he a Cologne or something? Isn't he?
No, no, he was just
No.
he was a Puerto Rican legend. I think the
Right.
problem was it just didn't seem to fit into the like again, we're watching Nitro where it's a little bit gritty and we're starting to get a bit more real with it. Although you still have your cartoon stuff with the
Yeah.
Dungeon of Doom, but he was really brightly colored and stuff like that. I think if he just had a like, I know they showed a clip, like we're jumping ahead, but in your house it showed when he debuted and he
Right.
jumped out
Add
of the
another
crowd.
in your house. Yeah. To
Yes,
help
he to
Razor.
help
Yeah.
Razor. So he jumps out of the crowd. He's just in jeans and like a flannel cutoff shirt. I'm like, that actually would have been a better look for him. It looked a bit
Yeah.
cooler than this whole.
And he was kind of dancing too. Like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And
It was
Bob
just
Holly's just ridiculous in that outfit, and
yes, yeah,
they
and the hair. And,
yeah,
oh
and just
man,
slapping teams together, kind of thing. But
hard to
yeah.
believe how much of a badass Bob Holly would
No,
become
no,
after
I
that.
no. Listen, I wouldn't say that to his face, but
But did you catch the wicked botch at the end for the finish where they covered it up with the camera work? It was
did I see that?
Kama. I think he was supposed to do something to Holly, and he messed it up. It was supposed to be like some kind of finisher maneuver, but it was messed up. So the camera, they just after like editing, they just zoomed right in, so you didn't really see what was going
I
on.
think I do, but I
Yeah,
don't remember the actual incident. But I remember seeing something, thinking something was up
yeah,
with the editing. But yeah,
yeah.
I don't remember specifically. That match isn't resonating with me for some reason. I can't
No,
remember
don't
that
worry
match.
about it. You didn't miss anything.
Yeah,
This episode,
yeah.
this is a dog's breakfast. You had Jean Pierre Lafitte against the
Yes. Who I
Jobber.
was digging, who I
Oh
didn't
yes,
realize was PCO.
you didn't realize that was PCO.
I had to look him up. I was like, I know this guy was somebody, and I know he was a Rougeau or something. But then, yeah, I was like, oh, he's PCO.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Well, he's
doesn't even look the same. He
Pierre
doesn't
and the
even look the same.
Quebecers. So Pierre
Yeah,
Ouellette.
but
Yeah,
he doesn't look the same at all.
yeah. Well, I mean, he was great.
He was
he
doing like super aerial shit for a big man back then.
I guess so. We'll wait till we get into In Your House and talk about his
No,
match
I
against
know.
Brett.
But he well, that was yeah. As
Yeah.
I think Meltzer said it saved the pay per view.
Oh yes, I believe that.
But
Brett saved a lot of pay-per-views in
yeah,
that
true
era.
enough.
Yeah.
And in this match, I do vividly remember it was a jobber. He was facing a jobber or something. Wasn't
Yes,
he?
yeah.
Yeah, and he
Just
got,
a
but
squash.
he did this on the senton kind of
Oh
finish,
yes.
didn't he? Yeah, that was
the
awesome.
cannonball as they called
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but
But
it was more of a senton though.
yes, yeah. Ironically enough, though, he did give the jobber a lot of time, so they could just
They
kind of show
did,
him off,
yeah.
which was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was big into that. He's a big dude.
Before we get into the main event, can I just say, like, man, I know he's looked on fondly, and like I look on him fondly now, especially through the Attitude Era in the later years. But man, Jerry Lawler's commentary was annoying.
Yeah,
Oh my god, so
Agreed.
many mainstream references that like it was just nonstop, and it was like
Yeah.
they're trying to like prove like, oh, we're kind of live, but because we talk about like U.S. Open
Yeah.
or something like that, but
But we're
just
not really.
really bad, just
Yeah,
really bad.
I agree.
He did not have he didn't have a good straight man with Vince. He needed JR who kind of
Right.
kept him wrangled in,
That's true. And on the Vince thing, I'm finding more and more like Vince annoying me too. With the
What do you
like
mean?
the what a maneuvers and the 1, 2, no, like 1, 2, 3, no. Just be like he just like every time a pinfall happens, it's a 3, but he didn't get a 3. Like it's like
Hey, I got one question for you, my friend. what can happen in the WWF?
Anything can happen in the WWF, folks.
They don't. It's like they decide, okay, we're gonna each pick the same. We're gonna just flog it to death.
Just beat it to submission.
WCW is where the big boys play, and anything can happen in the WWF. Oh my god!
I do enjoy that Vince narrates the opening, like kind of flashbacks, so that's pretty sweet.
I know, but Vince was not near as bad in the '80s. Doing the Saturday Night's Main Event.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
This
is just over the top to me now, and it's getting
it's cheese. It's cheese.
Annoying.
Yeah, it's just unreal. Both of them are. I said the entire show felt cheesy, is what it did, and they didn't help it at all. But we go to the main event. It was Owen and Yoko versus Men on a Mission, and I mean,
again though, this match was not memorable. Nothing really stood out for me in this match. I know Owen and Yoko get the win, and it was kind of shady business. Although I did like the finish with the drop toe hold into the leg drop. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
All I had to say was, of course, Owen was awesome. It's funny, like we talked about there the other week, or like a lot of these guys from this era are now passed away, gone, whether it be, but I find with Owen, it hurts a bit more watching him because of what happened, and it shouldn't have happened.
It shouldn't have happened, and he never got the due he was deserved, probably.
And he was a good man. That he wasn't like he was like doing roids and drinking and partying and stuff like that, and died of a drug overdose. It was just a tragedy, and it's just to see how good he was, and like he wasn't even trying at this point, but he could pull off stuff, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, like Owen was awesome. I was never a fan of Mabel, but I do have to say I was kind of surprised by how agile he was in this match.
I liked him, and I liked him as Big Vis,
right?
So,
yes.
Like as he went
with the jacket on, not with the meat flaps.
No, I'm all meat flaps. but yeah, no, I agree. For a man that effing large, he could work in the ring for sure.
Yeah,
the ring did look like it was going to break at some point.
I know. And I mean, seeing him and Yoko slugging it out was a sight to behold.
Yeah, it was cool.
But man, Yoko was tough to watch at this point too. I mean, he's pretty heavy.
He was lumbering, but he would still. I think maybe it's the pay-per-view that he pulled out some stuff. I was like, damn, like that's still pretty agile. As Vince called him, for a 600-pound man. I was like, I don't think he's 600 pounds.
I think he was over 600.
Was he?
Yes. Jesus JR talks about it, right? I think what's going to happen soon is this is when they end up turning on him, and he ends up getting sent off to the weight loss clinic to see if they can help, and he ends up gaining more weight, I think, or something like that. It's just nuts.
And he never came back, did he?
He did. Yeah, you'll see. Yeah. But Jen was watching a little bit with me on the pay-per-view, and she's like, "Oh God, I can't even look at that guy. Like his legs, like they're just disgusting."
But for a guy that big though, he could move. Like
he can move. I wouldn't be moving like that at 500 or 600 pounds.
He's lucky he can even walk.
I know.
Not only was he walking, he was jumping and then pulling him. There was one spot, it might have been the pay-per-view, might have been that match, where he took a bump and he literally like almost Undertaker sat up in the same motion. I was like, how that? I can't even do that. You know what I mean? Like it was crazy. Maybe it's just the weight of the bounce, and then it just propelled him back up. But
I know. Overall, my opinion on the episode,
that was a bummer of a show. Yeah.
Thumbs down.
Especially after 10 days away, like that was a shit show.
And this is your go home show for the pay-per-view as well, right?
Which they barely mentioned. I mean, they a little bit mentioned, but you didn't feel like you were selling me on the pay-per-view. That's for sure.
I didn't know all the matches. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I did not. I think I knew only the triple header match. That's about it.
Fair.
Fair enough. But yeah, it was. That was a tough one. I mean, right now Nitro is kicking Raw's ass, to be quite honest. But so before we jump into the pay-per-view, we are recording on Monday, January 23rd. You know why that date is important in the wrestling history, my friend?
Not because it's the 30th Raw anniversary show tonight.
Also a big deal. And that's how much we love our listeners. We're missing out on the Raw 30 right now.
I started to watch it.
The trial of Sami Zayn as well.
Yes, I started to watch that segment, actually. It was pretty good.
January 23rd.
The first Royal Rumble?
Nope. I'll give you a hint. It happened 39 years ago.
God. I was 3, man. How you gonna expect me to?
Well, just think about January 23rd, 1984. What would have happened on that date?
Was that? That wasn't Mania.
Nope.
Was that?
Think red and yellow.
Oh, the birth of Hulkamania.
Well, the WWF version of Hulkamania.
Right.
This is
not,
the date.
not the AWA one.
That's right. Hulkamania started in the AWA. Hey, it started on Rocky, really, when you think about it. But this is the date, January 23rd in 1984. When
I don't
Hulk
think
Hogan,
I ever knew that date.
Yes. Oh, I've had that ingrained in my head. Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, and Hulkamania WWF version was born.
That was in Madison Square, right?
That was in Madison Square.
Yeah.
That's right.
I do remember like seeing the back where he walks out the back, and you see that clip all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then the champagne in the back with Andre pouring it over his head and all the celebrities back there. Yep. So Hulkamania. And Hulkamania is still running strong. I understand
he was on the show tonight.
Yeah, he appeared on the 30th anniversary, which makes sense. He was on the very first Raw as well. So in 1993, it's so weird to think he was on that episode because it just does not feel like the Raw era was Hogan, you know?
Yeah, fair enough.
But well, I'll tell you something he wasn't on. Was In Your House 3.
He was not.
Do you like that Segu?
That was a good Segu. Yeah. And so I think I sent you a message about this. Like, when did they go to 3-hour pay-per-views then? Because this was only 2 hours.
For the main ones. Like this was In Your House was considered like kind of a like special. Not even like a real like
almost like it could be on USA Network or something.
Right. The big four were your 3-hour pay-per-views, but
which is an odd business choice though, given that WCW was running monthly pay-per-views at 3 hours long each time.
Were they at this point?
Well, Fall Brawl was.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I guess they were. Yeah.
So unless Fall Brawl was one of the hiccups, but from a value perspective, you're giving people more for their money, and I'm assuming they're paying the same thing. So.
But I think it was the same. But I think it was like $40 or something for these, if I'm not mistaken. It's almost like this replaced Saturday Night's Main Event for the most part.
Enough. Yeah.
That's what it felt like. But anyways, neither here nor there. Let's talk about this show. So my first thought was the music for it was absolutely brutal.
But it had its own theme though, which they played at the end too.
Yeah, it's just
I was like,
I don't know what
like a
Vince
catchy
was
90s song, but no, it was like a song made just for In Your House.
Oh yeah, it's like some kind of like cheesy, like softcore porn kind of music or something. Singer, jeez, man, Vince, like just how are we fans of this back in '95?
But it kind of speaks to even Vince back then was out of touch. Like even every era he's been in, he was 2 steps behind.
Except for the 80s. That's it.
Well,
the 80s were the only thing he jumped on.
That's a good point.
But you wonder, what was that? Maybe Hogan in his ear, maybe some other people like Piper and guys like that. I don't know, but like, man, this is. I think we had Stockholm syndrome. We just remained WWF fans at that time because really, what else could we do?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm glad we're not watching ECW because our minds would probably be like melting about the complete differences between these 3 products right now. But so we started off once again with our favorite Savio against Waylon Mercy. What were your thoughts on that match?
I actually enjoyed that match. That was my first real Waylon match. I mean, again, I'm not a Savio fan, and I don't think it was like the most technical match, but I enjoyed Waylon Mercer. He was really lumbering though. That was the only thing I noticed. I don't know how old he was at this point.
That's one of the things I noticed. You could tell that his knees were shot.
Lumbering like in
his knees were shot. He retired. He retired shortly after this.
Yeah, you can tell because he was like when Savio threw him into the corner one spot, and I was like, oh god, like that looks uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, but I thought it was a kind of a cool match and like kind of the flow, and it wasn't highly technical, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was.
It was, yeah, and I gotta say, Savio actually did put in a good match here.
Yeah. He won with a roll up or something too, didn't he?
No, he won with the spinning heel kick. Like
right off the ropes.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, clean as a whistle. But I gotta tell you, man, Waylon Mercy, that character had so much legs. Ironically enough, because his knees were shot, but he had so much legs. It's just unfortunately that his injuries. But he played it well. Like he was creepy as all get on. And
he came out like shaking hands and all that stuff. That was cool too.
Danny Spivey in real life is a legit badass. By the way, like
that before,
one of the toughest. I mean, he beat the living hell out of Adrian Adonis.
Like, could he beat Ming badass though?
rumor has it that he's up there. Not they still would put Ming over him, but he's like in that top 3 or 4 of
Wow.
the badasses.
But he's
like,
a big dude too.
It's like Ming and Spivey and Harley Race, and it's like just
he's a big dude. So at this point, in that September, I guess, how long had he been doing the character?
I think he came in early 1995, I believe. I'm not sure, but
so it was going on a calendar year anyway.
Yeah, I think he made it basically. Let me just look him up really quick since we're talking about that.
Because I did enjoy it. Like I was like, oh, he's like playing the babyface, and I was like, oh no, he's just being a creep, shaking hands with the crowd and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, I assume those were all real tattoos, but like the random array, no, they weren't, because they were random. Like they were all his arms were like, it was just like random pictures. I was like, who gets tattoos like that?
It's before sleeves were popular, right?
Well, Taker, I did notice Taker had sleeves because the last Raw we watched, Taker was on that.
He was, yeah.
He was starting to get.
He was one of the first guys I remember seeing with the sleeves,
yeah. Because Kama didn't even have him at that point.
Not at that point, no. Yeah. Spivey joined WWF in June 1995. So it was
so it wasn't even that long then.
And then he let's see, he retired literally in October 1995. Yeah, just his knees. It was his knees were just blown, so that's what it was. Tell. So
that sucks because he only had like 3-4 months.
Yeah. One thing did you notice the front row, those young guys in the front row booing the hell out of Savio as well?
No, I don't really
I think everybody felt the same about Savio, right? They're just like thumbs down him the whole time and booing him. And it's like, I
did notice how far back they have the people sitting from the railing, though. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
In the front row? It was weird.
All right. So next we had Sid, your boy Sid, against Henry Godwin.
Yeah. Which surprisingly good match.
Yeah.
I thought. Anyway.
The way I describe it is methodical, but well done is what I call it. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. The pacing kept me like engaged. And then the ending was kind of cool. Trying to think, did Sid get him up for the powerbomb? He did, didn't he?
Yes.
He did.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he did. I think he gave.
I can't remember.
He got him up for the powerbomb, and that was the end.
He had done it on the Raw or on like Superstars the week before. He'd done it on the outside.
I'm pretty sure he got him up in the powerbomb and dropped him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the kind of the ending kind of obviously. Then Henry gets his comeuppance and all that stuff. So like that made sense, and that's how you should book heels to win, right? So that they can still be a heel and get the babyface can get the last shot.
Gets their heat back. Babyface
but they get a win, at least keeps them credible. You can't lose every match.
Well, that's booking 101. Either you have the heel lose and then he does something after the match to get his heat back, or you have the babyface lose and they get their comeuppance, so the fans go home happy, right?
Exactly.
So it's
the only weird part about that was, who was it that ran out? Was it Bam Bam?
Bam Bam. Yeah.
But then he's involved in a different angle in a different match later on the night. I'm like,
I know.
You just interfered in that angle. Why? Anyway, that was
he had been part of the $1 Million Stable. That's why. And he got booted out after losing to what's his name, LT at Mania.
And then he turned babyface. Is that what happened? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I figured he had turned babyface after that loss, but
he had the year before. He had that match at it was like an intergender match or something at WrestleMania 10 with Luna. Yeah. He went through a lot over that time period, but I don't think he was long for the WWF at this point either. So
right. He goes to ECW, doesn't he?
I believe. Yeah, I think.
And then eventually 95. Back to and then WCW at some point.
WCW, yeah. But. One thing I noted, I said, did we get our first ever slobber knocker reference from Jim Ross in this match? Because
if we did, I missed it.
Vince and Jerry both, when he said it was a slobber knocker, they both went, "What?" So I'm wondering if that was like, it might not have been the first in like his whole announcer career, but in WWF it might
have to review the tape on that one.
Yeah, so he did mention that, but I thought it was a decent match.
Yeah, I agree.
Two big men.
Two big dudes. It was a pretty solid match.
Henry Godwin is a big dude, man.
Yeah.
And we got some more good stuff coming with Henry Godwin soon, by the way. So, stay tuned for that. Yeah. And then we had Davey and Bam Bam. And I got to say, man, they are pumping Davey. They are pumping Davey at this point.
Well, and then it preludes to his title shot coming up. in the next pay-per-view. But
which leads me to a question. I'll ask this of you. My thought is they were pumping him up. He was doing fantastic as a heel, getting some good wins. Why didn't they throw the belt on Davey instead of Brett at that time, and then have Brett take it off at like Rumble? So you have the rematch of Davey and Brett, like from Wembley. Like, go with the heel, winning it. Give Davey the title. Let him run with it for a little while.
Maybe, that's a good point, because Davey never won the world title, right?
No.
Yeah, no, I agree. He was on fire, and Cornette helps and all of that stuff. And Davey Boy was playing it up really well. Like, I thought that match was great too. The Bam Bam Davey Boy match. I thought it was really solid.
I thought it was a really good match.
For two big dudes. Bam Bam can still go at this point too, which is impressive as shit.
Yep.
I like that. I like that match.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't remember. Davey Boy went over though, didn't he?
Davey Boy went over. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to remember the ending, but I don't know if I.
That's why I say he was hot. He was hot at this point. Yeah.
He's all over the shows.
And this is in the end of it. I mean, he's been all over Raw. He's all over this show like crazy. Now next we have. Oh, I should mention. Okay, here's something I got to talk to you about. So the underlying theme of this whole night, I should have mentioned this from the get go. The main event is going to be the triple header, quote unquote, which is Diesel, WWF champion, Shawn, IC champion against the tag team champs of Yoko and Owen. Whoever gets the pinfall becomes that champion. So all belts are on the line. But Owen hasn't showed up to the arena yet. And so now Jim Cornette's in a panic trying to find someone to fill in for Owen, which to my question is, why the hell wouldn't everyone want to be his partner? Because they have a shot at winning the world title in that match.
Well, because they were the greasy heels, I guess, right?
But why would they turn down that opportunity? It's like, it just makes no sense. Like he's going around trying to convince everybody, which to me, they should have played it out as, well, really, this was a plan all along. He wasn't really trying to get somebody to fill in. He knew what was going to happen. Right. But
I just found the storyline weird because I looked it up, and that I realized it was because Owen had his kid, and they knew he was coming back, so maybe they just knew he was going to be late. But why insert this convoluted storyline? Why not?
This is done on purpose. This was their out of getting away with not having to take a title off anyone, right?
Oh, and then I did think about that too. Okay, so you get the dudes with attitudes to get the win, but then they can do it. So they purposely had him show up late for that reason. Then Right.
Yeah.
But he did have his kid that night, though, I think, apparently. That was a real thing, apparently.
I don't even know if that was real or not.
Oh, maybe that's just Wikipedia kayfabe
it might have been storyline for all I know, but
well, they didn't mention why he was late, but that was what Wikipedia was saying, that he was for the birth of his child, and then he showed up. But
I don't know if he actually did. I'm looking it up here.
I don't know if that was, but anyway, it just was like, okay, then why spin?
No, it was just a storyline. Yeah. So
anyway, but that makes sense so that you can still get Nash and Michaels to win, and then they don't get to keep it.
Yeah, but this could have,
because they're clearly wielding their influence already at this point.
I know,
you can tell.
I won't ruin the ending, but I've got another theory that they could have went with Davey here. But so. All right, so we went from that. I just wanted to drop that in there. By the way, this is a storyline weaving throughout the whole pay-per-view.
Yes,
that meant we got lots of Doc Hendricks, which is always
we did get lots of Doc Hendricks. And we got what's her name sighting too?
Alundra Blaze.
Alundra Blaze selling a t-shirt.
Yeah. Who, boy, oh boy, soon she was making an appearance somewhere else, by the way.
That's true enough.
So then we had the Razor Ramon versus Dean Douglas match. And what was your thoughts on this one?
I was surprised that I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I might.
I didn't either. I said it felt a little clunky.
Yeah, it's just the chemistry didn't seem to work for them. Like, I don't know if it was I mean, I guess they could be off. You know what I mean? You have a bad night. Maybe it was just one of them was off. Maybe both of them were off. But like, I was expecting that to be a show stealer, and it didn't at all.
I did, for some reason, I didn't find Douglas's style at that point. There was nothing about it it was pretty basic. It was just like, there was nothing.
He didn't feel like the franchise.
No.
Shane Douglas, that's for sure.
And I mean, I know, like, he has a feeling that, like, the Clique was against him and they really sabotaged him and stuff like that. But I do know that Scott Hall did say, like, their matches just stunk. Like, they weren't clicking in the ring. And if you can't have a good match with Scott Hall, you know
It's
what I
pretty
mean?
tough.
It's pretty
Yeah.
tough.
'Cause that
They could
guy.
say he was sandbagging, but he didn't look like it to me. I mean, he
No,
was.
I didn't get that sense.
No, I
I
didn't.
just didn't enjoy the match. I didn't think there was anything in particular. I just was like, oh, that was meh. You know what I
I
mean?
didn't feel like Shane had like a great heel offense for Razor to sell because he had
True.
been a good guy all along up until this Dean Douglas thing, right?
Right. That's a good point because you
Well,
can't.
sorry, ECW. He was in there before that, and he dropped the belt and all
Right.
that stuff. But I don't know. It just I don't know what was going on. Just
No, I agree with you. It felt off. And
it
you're
did.
right. Razor had good matches with everyone.
The one crazy thing though was when Waltman came in and helped out Razor,
Oh yeah,
and
he
when he
pushes him out
pushed
of the
him,
ring.
oh my gosh,
He flung him. That was
he
like
went
so like
flying.
it was almost like they went to the back and Sean was like, no, 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 just like really lay into me.
I
Like
know. It's just craziness. Oh my
that
god.
was cool though. That was cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's setting up more, right? Going forward.
Oh yes. Oh
Yeah.
yes, for sure. So then we get into what I consider the match of the night. To be quite honest, it's Bret Hart versus Jean Pierre Lafitte,
Yeah.
and I just again I love the fact that we're going back to this. That I get to watch more Bret Hart matches because every time I watch a Bret Hart match, I just can't get over it. How smooth, how good he is, and how real he makes it look. Like
What really stood out to me in this match was and listen, I've never taken Brett's ability because that guy was amazing.
mhm,
He just wasn't never my favorite guy, but
mhm,
the intensity in which he does everything
everything,
in any way possible in that
even
match.
his
And
selling, his
yes,
intensity in
that's what I mean.
selling.
Like where he
Yeah,
goes into the corner, where he drops the backbreaker, or like outside he throw into the stairs. It's like everything is just like overly intense, and it's great in a great way. You know what I mean?
that front facing turnbuckle move.
Oh, it's like how did he not just like collapse his lung every time?
And I even feel like I think he stepped it up a notch to help get Pierre over
Yeah, I
here.
think that
Uh,
could be a good
another
fellow
Canadian
Canadian,
guy,
right?
yeah, and he
Yeah.
actually in PCO was not in with the clique. They were against him. That's kind
Well,
of what
isn't
led
that how
him.
he got fired
Yeah,
too? Is
yeah.
that's what I
They
read?
were not, and so I think Brett might have said, "Okay, I'm going to get you over here." And I
Yeah,
mean, McMahon was even calling him like probably one of the most athletically gifted big men in the federation at that
yeah.
time. So he was on board with PCO as well. But man, like that flip that Pierre did to the concrete, like where like
Oh yeah, it went over the rope.
wow,
And it was a
wow.
thud. It was a
That
thud,
was a
thud,
thud.
thud.
And I mean, we're talking a very thin mat on
Yeah,
that floor. It's not like today's where it's like
where
thick stuff,
yeah.
but man, like I don't know. I thought that was a fantastic match. And
I
then
agree. I
cool
thought it
way for
was too.
Brett to get him into the sharpshooter too.
Yes, I was wondering where they were going to go with that, but then he tapped pretty quick. So yeah, no, I
Mhm.
thought it was a great match, intense match. They had a lot of time. They went outside the ring. We got the finish with Brett and the submission. So Brett, but the only criticism I could say is would it not have been a good point to give PCO the win and then because you knew you were going to have other matches,
It could
right?
have been, yeah. Mhm.
That's my only critique maybe if I had one, but
Except I guess PCO had gotten his
at that point they
I
were
don't
just
want to say
talking about him stealing shit,
yeah, he
right?
stole like I guess that, but they were also building Brett up because he was going to be facing Diesel at Survivor Series too, right?
Right.
So I guess yeah, either way, but I think PCO didn't need to get over in that match.
No,
Brett
fair
got him
enough.
over with what the performance was. I
Yeah, it
mean,
was
it
just a
was just
really entertaining match.
oh man, the fans
Yeah.
were into it. It was just I like I say it's true and they talk about Brett. He was an artist in there. That was his
Yeah.
like literally the canvas. That's what it is, and that's what he was an artist. It's just I know people think he was boring as far as promos and I don't care. Like
Yeah.
what he did in the ring. Chris Benoit was boring with
I was just gonna
promos, you
say the
know.
same thing. Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, take your
Right.
pick.
But what
Yeah.
they do in the ring, there's guys that can't do promos today, but they're
Yeah.
fantastic in the ring. You know, so there's 800 luchadors that you watch that can't speak English, so you don't know what they're
Yeah.
saying in their promos, but yet they're fantastic in the ring. So the guy, I like this promo style because it just felt like a good old Canadian boy that's just a
Yeah.
tough guy that the way he does his thing. But yeah, anyways, I'll stop
It
slobbering
was a
off of.
little cheesy because I think that he did a promo in that show and the pay-per-view itself talking about like he walked the plank, and I'm like,
I know.
oh, you didn't just go there with the walk.
I was hoping he was going to say he was going to kick his booty, but anyways, but that's total Vince
Yeah.
writing those
No, fair
promos.
enough. Fair enough.
You can see Vince there. He's going to walk the plank. Oh man. But we'll stay tuned. We'll be getting some more from Brett and JP Lafitte. So this isn't the end of it. So,
JPL.
yeah. And then we go into the main event, which follow that, guys. You know, like that was fantastic. But saying that, like, because I complained about the Young Bucks doing that, they didn't do everybody else's finishers in that move.
No, it was
and you
their
know
own
what?
match. It was their own style.
And they protected their own finishers. Pierre never did hit the cannonball, so Brett didn't have to kick out of it.
Right.
And Brett tried a couple of times to get the sharpshooter on, and PCO he got out of it
before he finally like got it in a weird way.
Yeah, which showed because even King was saying, he's got his number. He's been able to block the sharpshooter a couple of times. So that's how you do it. You protect finishers that way, and you don't steal everybody else's finisher as well for the match. Like you know, could you imagine if Bret had did a super kick in that match, right? Or I don't know,
jackknife.
Yeah, jackknife by PCO on Bret. You know, something like that. So and then they kicked out of both of them. That's the other thing, right?
No, that's fair.
All right, main event. What was your thought on the main event? So I should have mentioned they finally found a partner for
it was Bulldog.
It was Bulldog. Bulldog's everywhere.
He's just all over the show. Which there was the Jim Cornette connection, so that did make sense. Like I guess it was recalling to me how annoying Sean and Diesel are at this point. I don't know why I think that, but they're just fucking annoying to me. They're like Sean's like a little water bug, and not in a good way. Like, and Diesel's just that guy who thinks he's cool but really isn't that cool. But he's
like the cool dad or something.
Yeah, like he's walking on cool. And then the dudes with the attitudes, I was like, that's
or not. Two chaps with straps.
Like it was just like, no, Vince is the only one letting you do this because it's like you guys, but like it's not anyway. But I thought the match was okay because Bulldog and Yoko are fine, like they're good, but again, it's chemistry. Like I find Kevin Nash struggles to get chemistry with a lot of guys. You know what I mean? Because he's not a great worker for let's call it what it is. He wasn't a great worker. He did what he did well, but he wasn't a great worker. And Sean carried a little bit of that, but like Bulldog having to sell so much shit, it was just like, Bulldog sold a lot for Nash in that match. Like a lot.
He had to because Yoko couldn't get in there and do it, right?
So I thought it was okay. Like I thought it was good. The ending. The only thing that I will say that I disliked about, I thought it was good. I thought it was a good match. And the ending was kind of, okay, cool, a little bit of a crazy finish. But it was so quick. Like Owen runs down, goes to the top rope, jumps, and it's over. I'm like, that was like in the span of 30 seconds, Owen running down and the match was over. It was like they could have done some, and I maybe that was obviously was the intent, but like a little more buildup. I'd be like, what is Owen doing here? Why is he here? What is going on here? He's not the partner. Like, it was none of that. It was just like up the top, doom, jackknife, over. You know what I mean? It's like, what
they made Owen look weak for sure.
Yes, big time.
Yeah,
big time.
Even if they had I would like if they had came and explained that Owen got pinned on purpose because they knew they could then go this angle, right?
Yeah. Anyway. But overall, I thought it was good. And again, it wasn't a great pay-per-view, but I thought it was okay pay-per-view. It wasn't. It was probably on the same level as Fall Brawl. I'll say that because Fall Brawl only had a couple good matches too. So
I would call it a decent pay-per-view and the best thing that I've watched from WWF so far in 1995 because Raw has been not the greatest, right?
No.
But yeah, Savio Mercy, okay. Sid and Godwin, pretty good.
Yeah.
Davey and Bam Bam, pretty good match.
Yeah.
Razor and Douglas, but it's still Razor and still, and they're still moving. Brett and Lafitte was fantastic.
Match of the night for sure. Yeah.
And then the main event was, but it's stars, right?
Yeah.
Stars there.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting finish to it, right? Yeah. And lots of Doc Hendricks, so we're good.
And t-shirt sales.
Exactly. All right. So then we'll finish off the month of September. We're going to talk about the last two episodes of the month of September, which is September 25th for both Raw and Nitro. So let's start with Raw since this is the follow-up to this episode. And of course, we're starting off with the whole storyline is now. This is our first Clarence Mason.
I was going to say, is this the first Clarence Mason?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So the gimmick lawyer for Camp Cornette, Clarence Mason, makes an appearance, and the whole point is that he's now doing what we're talking about. Owen got pinned. He wasn't a legal man. The champion for that night
have
was
three
Davey
champions.
Boy. Can't have three champions,
Yeah.
and Gorilla's kind of backed in the corner. And I love how Gorilla tried to like lie about it. Though. It's like, well, per se, it's like, no, man, like he's got you on a technicality here. But smart guy Gorilla is, he says, well, too bad, we're gonna have a rematch. Well, number one, they're supposed to have a rematch for Sean
right.
and Diesel, but he's gonna have an impromptu match for the Smoking Guns against Owen and Yoko later in the show. What'd you think of that stuff?
I thought the backstage stuff was okay. Like I liked it, and Jim Cornette's obviously great, and Clarence Mason was great. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a cool way to start the show.
It was entertaining.
Yeah,
and that's all we asked for. It's entertaining. It's something different, right?
Yeah.
And then, man, I couldn't believe it. All of a sudden, who pops on our screen? Marty effing Jannetty.
I know. I was trying to be like, wait, did he have another run before the one in the 2000s? I was like, he already came back after coming back. Like it was just like, so what was the deal here? Had he been fired and now he's back? Like,
he'd been fired for drug use and stuff like that. And this is his
didn't go anywhere.
Second chance. Yeah, he was looking a bit haggard, I gotta say.
He still had a t-shirt on, so
he had the tank top on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
he
was
did all his 80s. He still had the 80s music and the 80s gimmicks though. So,
but I still have a soft spot for Marty back in the day, right? It's just unfortunate. He really became a punchline for tag team breakups. But I mean, what can you say? I mean, he was a coward. He did try to escape through the barbershop window. So, but you know what? Pretty good match. I mean, you're working with Chris Candido, who's known as Skip of the Body Donnas at this point. We got our first Sonny.
Was known as a working guy, right? Like he was a worker.
Yeah. And we got our first Sonny visual as far as we've seen so far.
We've seen, yeah.
I mean, she's been around.
Where's the other guy at this point?
Zip.
Yeah.
Dr. Tom Pritchard, as he's better known.
Is that Tom? Was that Tom Pritchard with Zip?
That's Tom Pritchard.
Jesus, really?
Yeah.
So is he gone at this point?
I don't know. As far as
and where the hell does that name come from? Like, what the hell is a Body Donna?
Well, prima donna is what they're playing off of, right?
But Body Donna, I don't get it. Still,
it's not good. It's a Vince. It's a Vince thing, man. It's a Vince thing.
Because then they actually made it 2 words, like Body Donnas, and I was like,
and they just debuted in '95 as well. I should mention, right? So Zip isn't here yet. That's what it is.
Oh, so it's just. But how is he a Body Donnas if he's just Chris Candido?
Well, him and Sonny are the Body Donnas.
Oh, that makes more sense. And then they add Pritchard.
Yeah, they add.
Oh, God,
yes,
it's gonna get better, is what you're telling me.
So. Oh, here's even better. So Skip soon got another partner who was an official Body Donna in Zip. He was originally Flip, his kayfabe cousin. Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah. So Radford actually was his partner prior to Pritchard. But
okay, so we'll see Radford as his partner coming up.
Yeah, coming up. Okay. So, but anyways,
I keep it straight.
The Body Donnas. There you go.
Yeah, but it was a good match. It was a good match. And I love the rocker dropper, that kind of although I was like, oh, the rocker dropper. And then I was like, wait, he's not pinning him. And he goes and does that shitty fist. Fist. I was like, no.
You should just I don't know why
he did the rocker dropper. That was his finisher for a while, yeah.
I know. He almost killed a guy with it. You should use it as your finisher, right?
Yeah, no, it was a good match. Poor Chris Candido, though. That guy got no respect. He was like Rodney Dangerfield of the business, I think.
Yeah. Have you ever gone down the rabbit hole of Marty Jannetty stories as far as his? Oh, man.
I want to.
Wow. You should go down that. Look up the story about him killing a man who molested him or whatever. Oh, Jesus. Man. The guy. I feel bad for him, man. Like, you have Sean just going to become the greatest thing that ever happened in wrestling.
Yeah.
And then Marty's not so much.
Not so much. Can I try again, Marty?
All right. So after that, and by the way, there wasn't much wrestling on the show, but we then had the Smoking Guns against Yoko and Owen.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun match. And
Yeah.
I always dug the smoking guns. You can just so see the Billy Gunn isms in this match too, like in his
Mhm.
punches and how he picks guys out. Anyway, I just was like, I key in on some of that stuff where like I'm like, oh yeah, you can see the later Billy in that match. But yeah, I thought it was good. I thought I enjoyed it and didn't see it coming, to be honest. I didn't. So this was clearly a Yoko ailing kind of thing. They had to get the straps off them or what? But then
I
why not keep it on dudes with the attitudes? Like, why did they go this whole route then, right?
well, they
Like,
won all the titles on Shawn
I
and
guess.
Diesel.
But
I
that
mean
was the
that
whole gimmick of the
it
pay-per-view.
was, but then they had to find a way out of it, right?
Yeah, right.
It's
I
like,
guess
hey,
so.
they got to go against Nitro. We got to come up with something, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was always a big Smoking Guns fan.
Me
I
too.
actually at the
I
time, I
like
think
Bart too.
I liked Bart more than
Yeah.
Billy because Billy just looked like such a hick at the time. But
Yeah.
man, look who he turned into, you
I
know.
know.
But yeah, I was a fan of Smoking Guns, and I can't believe this. We haven't even gotten through the whole like them dealing with Sonny and all this stuff. Like Body Donnas haven't even been tag team champs and
Right.
stuff. It feels like that was all like 1994 to me, but
But
it's
we got
not.
that. We got to look forward to that.
This is early in the Smoking Guns run, if you can
Yeah.
believe it. Yeah, so we got lots to come on that. But yeah, pretty good match. You had the Yoko screw things up, which is obviously going to lead to
A
some
breakup.
problems within
Yeah.
them. And of course, that's when Davey will kind of find his way into the tag team scenario with
Right.
Owen. But yeah, it was a rare title switch on Raw at that point
Yeah.
as well.
That was cool. I
Yeah.
was for it.
We had we had Doc and Gorilla pimping out In Your House 4 coming up in October. But I'll be honest with
Standing
you,
weirdly in the like entrance. It was like,
indeed. Oh
what
yeah,
is
I forgot to mention like how weird was it like Diesel and Sean out for the celebration. This it was
oh
kind of
yeah, with smoking guns. I was like,
it
this
was
doesn't fit.
awkward.
This doesn't fit at all.
Yeah,
They should
I
be
know.
pissed that they just got stripped.
I know, but their buddies won it, so whatever. So, Doc and Gorilla pimping In Your House 4, and I gotta say, I'm actually pumped up for this card because it actually sounds pretty stacked.
Yeah, and Winnipeg too. It should be cool.
Yeah, yeah. Then we had Taker and Bulldog, and which I
Yeah, the
thought
main
was a
event.
pretty good match.
Really
This
good
felt
match.
more like a Raw 97, 98
Agreed.
match.
Agreed. It was like, and Taker was selling for a bit
Yep,
too, like working on the knee. Yeah, I like that match a lot.
it
Nothing more to
was.
say. I thought it was a good match.
And
Really good
honestly,
match.
I would have said this was a great episode of Raw, except at the end where they had, Sean and Diesel come out again. And
Yeah.
then what was with the ending with them just dancing around and Vince was like just going off about Sean, just like he was like, I'm pretty sure he was yanking it under the table for him. But man, like
Yeah,
it
it
went
was
on for
weird,
like
but
3 minutes.
like Sean was probably high or something. I don't know. Like
It
he's
was
just doing
so
his fucking
weird.
strip show dance or whatever.
So weird. And plus,
Yeah.
they had like they're saving Taker and they're shaking hands with Taker, which Taker never does that stuff.
No.
And like the guns are coming out in their jeans with no shoes on.
And they made a point to say they just came out of the shower. They had soap on them. Good point. That did ruin it.
Oh my god! So
Yeah,
up
it went
until
on way
then,
too long too. It did go on too long.
I was going to say this was the least cheesy Raw, and then
Yeah.
boom, then we
Yeah,
cheesed
then
it
they
up
cheesed
with
it up.
Sean's stripper routine. So, which I feel bad because honestly, Sean athletically in the ring at this point was absolutely on fire.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But you can
Just can't stand
understand.
them.
You can understand where Brett's coming from, like going, "What the hell's with this dude?" Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was Raw. So an okay follow-up show, and it was exciting to have the Smoking Guns win the title.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Clarence Mason's always good for a laugh.
Yeah, agreed.
And then we'll finish her off with Monday Nitro from the 25th. So this is finally a head-to-head matchup with Raw and Nitro. So we'll just go through the matches very quickly. We had Disco Inferno against Alex Wright. We had Kurosawa against Craig Pittman. Randy Savage against Kevin Sullivan. And then Lex Luger against Meng. So I want to say this about Disco and Alex Wright. I know Disco takes a lot of shit in the community as far as, you were a jobber, you were this, that, and everything. Nobody's a jobber, by the way. There's people that are on these shows to put people over and make them look good. Disco got a lot of offense in this match, and I thought he looked pretty good.
I liked it too. I thought he looked physically good too. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. This is better than I remember. The only thing I caught was there was a bit of a hiccup where I don't know what he was trying to do.
For the
Somebody
stun
was
gun?
trying to
do
yeah,
stun
but he
gun?
was trying to do like a German suplex or something.
Yeah. And I
Something
think,
or a belly to belly over the top
yeah,
rope or something.
and I think Alex didn't go with it, and it turned into a stun gun.
I
on
thought
the
it
rope.
might have been
Yeah.
Alex's fault because I think Alex fucked that up.
Yeah.
And Bischoff did a good job of covering that up, I thought, where he's like, "Oh, I think he was trying to go for a belly, but he turned it." You know what I mean? And he kind of like, but yeah, I was like, "No, I don't think that was Disco. I think that was Glenn did that right. I think that was Alex screwed that one up."
I always enjoyed Disco because he knew what he was there for,
Right,
and he was talented. He was actually very good at what he did.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like that. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was.
Yep.
I thought it was fine, and they're clearly. Wait, Alex got the win, right?
He did. Yep.
Yeah, and that was yes. I was thinking maybe he didn't, but no, he did because they're clearly trying to get a little bit of a push here for the Wunderkind.
Yep. And plus, they're also playing the angle of Disco keeps getting distracted with his dancing and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Because there was some Saturday night stuff, right?
So then you mentioned it earlier. So we had the Hulk Hogan Jimmy Hart promo. Hulk with the neck brace on and doing neck exercises with the belt on top of it.
So weird. So weird. So weird. That is a beautiful belt, though.
It is. It is. I just, it's so amazing how bad like Hogan was starting to smell like rotten fish at this point, but yet he's so close to being the greatest thing in sports in another few months. But and we're getting monster trucks.
Yes, apparently we're getting monster trucks before another match too. So
so we're getting a sumo battle, sumo battle with the monster trucks, the Giant and the Hulkster. Wow. Another Macho Man Randy Savage promo with Lex, another great one.
So good.
Yep.
All you can say about that, they just were awesome. It was just good.
Yeah.
I love where they're going with that.
And then little intrigue at the end of it where Macho sticks out the hand to shake it and Lex just kind of gives him a shoulder pat. He gave him an arm pat and then he walks out, right?
Oh, right.
It's like, no shake.
And Macho reacts.
Yeah, for sure. And then we had Kurosawa against Pittman. And you know what? I forgot about Kurosawa.
I had to look him up. I didn't know who he was. So I had to look him up. Yeah.
But I remember him wrestling on there. I always thought he was a badass. I thought
he looked like a badass.
Yeah. He didn't last long, but he was pretty awesome.
And he looked good in that match. I thought again, it felt a little weird, but it almost seemed like the finish seemed a little weird. Did it?
It was, it really was. But Pittman is just terrible. He's cheesy. I mean, his whole offense was headbutts, diving headbutts. It was cheesy.
Yeah, like that Kurosawa guy looked like a legit strong style, sort of like, I enjoyed that match only because it was different. I didn't know who the hell he was.
Exactly. And then, man, Arn and Pillman, another great promo.
Great promo.
Great job by Pillman.
Cool. Yeah,
Pillman sounded awesome too.
Arn being classic Arn with his glasses, like it was just like, this is awesome.
His members only jacket,
and his cross necklace with his tucked in like turtleneck. Like I was just like, this is classic.
But his tan was on point. I gotta give him that.
It was. No, I thought the promo was great, and I'm looking forward. And then Pillman dropping every single Horseman reference and stuff. I know. I was like, that's cool.
Even did before.
But they don't do the Horseman with Pillman, do they?
Oh, you'll see.
Oh, the anticipation.
You'll see. Yeah. You'll see.
But no, great promo.
There's a great thing coming up with that. But yeah, fantastic promo. Arn just knocks it apart. But I was really impressed with Pillman in this.
Yeah, agreed.
And then, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said agreed. He was fantastic.
Yeah. And then we had Savage against Kevin Sullivan.
Taskmaster.
What'd you think of that match?
It was okay. It was all right.
It's quick.
It was really quick.
Typical Nitro quick.
Yeah, it was quick. We got to see Savage fly off the top ropes. That's always good. So, yeah, I mean, it was okay.
Well, we had it was really just to get the Giant over as he
chokeslammed, and then he chokeslammed like 18 people. Yeah,
I know. Yeah. But they sprinkled a little intrigue on because he chokeslams Luger, who didn't exactly come out to save Savage. He just stood over top of him. But then for some reason, Giant chokeslammed him. But then Sullivan looked.
And then Kevin Sullivan got all pissed off.
Yeah. So
that was good.
Again, dropping little nuggets there. Yeah. What's going on with Luger? What's going on with the Dungeon of Doom and stuff like that? And then all of a sudden they just leave Luger lying there for his match.
For his next match. Like, oh yeah, bud, you're on your own. You're good.
Yeah. And honestly, I found that match was just rushed.
Yeah. It didn't feel good. It just felt lame. Like I didn't get into that match at all. Although Ming's a cool looking dude at that point,
Yeah.
still even.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just two not great guys mixed in there. To like Ming and another guy, or Luger and another guy, like you're into it, but like those two guys are just, they need their accompaniment. You know what I mean? Like they need
Yeah.
their dance partner to be doing most of the work.
Yeah, Luger's got to be the ass kicker in the match, and he
Right.
needs someone to sell for him. Same with
Yeah.
Ming. Ming needs someone to sell for him as
Yeah.
well, right?
But so it was okay. I mean, two big names, I guess, for the main event, and we got some more schmoz at the end too, didn't we? Didn't we?
No, I don't
I'm
think
trying
there
to
was.
remember how it ended. I just watched it. I'm trying to remember how it finished.
I think it just was Luger gets the win, and then. Oh no, it was Ming pulled out the golden spike, spiked him in the throat, and got away with it. Yeah,
That's what it was. Yes,
that's what it was. Yeah,
I knew there was some shenanigans.
Yeah,
And then
it was meh.
Yeah, I agree. And then it was fade to black. So
yeah. So overall, we're through September. We've had a good time. What'd you think of it so far, man? This is our third episode of Wrestling with the War.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm getting more into it, and more intensity is building. But I think Nitro and WCW overall still's got the win at this point.
I would agree, and by a long shot, I'd say at this point. Yeah, even comparing pay-per-views, I'd take Fall Brawl over.
Agreed.
In your house
overall.
Yeah, I gotta say, Savage is definitely the MVP of WCW at this point.
And Scott Hall's the only thing keeping me into Raw at this point too.
Davey Boy too,
or Davey Boy. Good point. Yeah,
but yeah, Hall and Davey Boy for sure. But they are, so it's getting interesting, and we're going into a banner month for WCW here with Halloween Havoc coming up.
Right.
So we're going to see the best and worst of WCW here.
Can't wait.
I can't wait for your reaction to this month. So I think next episode, maybe we'll figure it out, but we'll probably tackle at least a few episodes of Raw and Nitro leading up to the pay-per-views. And maybe in the following episode after that, we'll look at the pay-per-views themselves. But I hope the listeners are enjoying this, because it's fun to step in the time machine and go back to this time period, and just see it from this perspective. Some of it I remember as being a lot better than it was, and some of it I remember being not as bad as I thought it was. So it's interesting.
Agreed. I think it's good take overall, because you're seeing it through different lenses now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'll ask any of our listeners to go ahead and let us know. Reach out to us on any of the social medias. They're all in the description of the episode. We don't need to ram them off every time, but head on over and let us know what your thoughts are on these episodes. Tell us some of your memories from this time period. Maybe if you've watched along with us, let us know what your thoughts were on all these events, and tell us what you're looking forward to coming up. But for Jay Myers, I am BC Hunter saying we're out of time.
Join us next week.